and hopefully it should be the correct one that's popping up. Make sure. Alright. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Lore of Leyus, episode 2 of Starburst. I am your host and your DM, Loreley, and I am joined by the 4 players. You can probably see them on the upper left-hand side of the screen, but I may as well introduce them in order. First of all, we have CyberneticPinkeye as Koshi.
Greetings and felicitations.
We also have RedAsATomato as Ariadne.
Hi.
And finally, we have SerenaMidori as Haelum.
I am also here.
I love that on my preview screen, it's got this eternal buffering thing going on right now. And I'm just like, oh god, I'm so paranoid that this isn't sending, or that this isn't streaming, or that there's going to be some kind of technical difficulty.
If it helps, I did check the stream and you are streaming.
Cool. Awesome. And on the right channel? Yes, it looks like I am.
1 second, let me check.
No.
It says already
Yes.
videos, so that's
Yes.
the one you want, right?
That is the
Looks
one that I want.
Gucci to me.
Alright.
Oh, okay.
Of course, this has decided to be a finicky little schniker. But yes, I have a slightly new landing page. It's pretty identical to the last one that we had before. But there's at least some updated tasks and a bit of a recap for you guys. But we're going to get to the gameplay in just a little bit, but I wanted to check in with all y'all. How you guys doing in call with me?
I cannot complain.
Well, you
I can.
I thought I heard the garage door, so I muted, but it's over.
Playing D&D in secret. I can't let them know I'm delving into the dungeons.
Welcome to the Didale Wives Watchtower.
Oh my lord.
Huddled under a blanket.
Dungeons
I'm
and
good.
Dragons.
I have some-
Satan's game. Okay.
No.
God, that's such an old reference.
Oh,
I have some
yes.
important small talk
Yes.
for the archive of the stream, as well as anybody who joins in this early.
Ooh.
I bought my cat 2 new cat towers today, and she loves them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Top tier news.
Important.
Literally.
Very important.
Did you mean that, Griffin?
God damn it, I
Top-
just realized.
Top tier news! Yeah,
Listen.
she probably did immediately take the top tier.
uh,
I will say that her kitty is adorable, and I did get to see Kitty on the top shelf
oh,
of
yes.
the the tower.
Yeah. Nutmeg is goals.
So, I hope you guys who are coming in are, I mean, I think it's a little bit slow going, obviously, for just getting started and all of that, but for all y'all who are coming in, I hope you guys are having a good day. And those of you who are watching this VOD later upon release, I hope you're doing all right as well. As I knock my, fucking, oh, what's it called? The rolling bin thing. Whatever.
Yes.
My box for the rolling of the dice.
Dice box.
I
Yeah,
will say,
that's simple enough.
so you guys are not going to be seeing DM rolls on these on the stream. First of all, because we're streaming with my view as a player, but also we are also we are. I tend to do it like I treat like the ability to roll my dice in person as my DM screen. So that's like, you know, the very old school. You can't see what I'm doing. I can see what I'm doing.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? That's probably a good idea. I should probably let people know in the Discords that I'm streaming.
I know, because I was going to post it in some Discords. I'm like, I have not received any announcement messages yet. How will I know when we're streaming?
Now all of China knows you're here.
Oh, that gif. Is it here on Discord? Hold on. Moonlight. Fire. There we go.
I may as well pass that around, huh? Put that in a couple of places.
I beat you to the server. Ha 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 ha.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay.
Did you say Ugu?
No, I said Welku, not Ugu. There was a time and place for Uguing, and it is not now.
I was gonna say that was the most tired. Ugu. I've ever.
Oh, well, we are.
We're already off to a rollicking good start.
Yes, we are. But, I mean, here's the thing. Like, there's always going to be... Oh, goodness. There's always going to be technical difficulties, and there's always going to be, like, the daily life snafus of shit going on, but there's also just me forgetting to do something important related to my job as a DM, which... Hopefully I'll get better about this, but, you know, I've also been running a little bit late today. Me speaking here today did not start off on the right note, but, fortunately I'm feeling better than I was earlier. I will say I also got my first dose of vaccine this last Friday. Fortunately, I didn't seem to have too many side effects. The most I got was, like, a vaguely stuffy nose and a headache, but...
That's good.
Yeah, and I've seen far worse out there. Well,
so it stays all right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I should be fine. Like, thankfully, I'm used to dealing with feeling sick. But I've been excited for this. I've been also spending this last week, like, doing a lot of different things for this particular thing, including rolling up a new character. Hello, Sabrina. Rolling up a new character, a new NPC for you guys. And those of you who are patrons will know a couple of things, actually. One, you probably can guess which character might be making an appearance today. An NPC making an appearance. I mean, you got probably some guesses, but there's also the vote on Patreon. Like, I put it up within a few days after the last stream. It finished yesterday, and it was largely tied for the majority of the last couple of weeks. Like, the people who were voting were split between two benefits. They were completely ignoring any obstacle that I wanted to place in your path. I'm going to have to rectify that in the future. But they ended up voting for a new bit of lore, not me, but literally like story lore, to drop into the story at some point. It might happen today, but there's no guarantees of anything being voted on happening in the direct session following, but y'all will be having an influence on the plot. So...
It's kind of like adding it to the jar of things that will happen.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And they'll probably happen sooner rather than later. Mostly because I don't want to be spoiling shit for far down the line. But there's... Oh, what was my train of thought now? I'm good DM, right? I'm keeping track of so many good things.
Something Patreon.
Yes. Oh, right. Actually, that was what I was going to talk about. Thank you. I have to store my brain in other people.
I got it.
I mean, that's what I'm for.
No.
The brain cell is mine.
Well, yeah, okay. We have collectively shared one brain. We just access different parts of it at a time. Anyway.
But we don't eat it.
What?
Well, it depends on the day of the week.
Fair, understandable. Have a nice day.
So, I was going to say, with Patreon, those of you who decide to actually support the channel on Patreon, which is usually linked in pretty much every video description on this channel as well as the Loreley channel, you will actually not only get like access to behind the scenes stuff, art in advance of anything that may show up on the channel, early access to videos whenever they go up, and as a bonus, you'll also get to vote in polls that will influence where things actually happen over the course of this campaign. You can vote to give them a gift, you can vote to make things harder for them, you can vote for some kind of miscellaneous task or a side quest or things along those lines. I'll be putting that up usually after, within a couple of days after each session anyway, and that stuff will be implemented into the campaign. So yes, you will I'm good at talking. Anyway, this has been a great stream. Hope you guys had fun. Okay. A very real impact on the campaign. So, all of the business chatter aside, I mean, like obviously you can also see on screen, for example, there's the coffee if you just want to do like a one-time tip kind of thing. Anyway, all of the engagement calls or whatever it is out of the way, we should probably get going with the actual thing you came here to watch today, right?
Nah.
Okay, well, we can just go ahead and sit here and continue twiddling our thumbs. But
Last time on Starburst.
you're not even wrong. That's kind of exactly how I was going to introduce this. Last time on The Lore of Leyus, Starburst, Koshi discovered a new offering at the statue along with a torn piece of cloak. Two nearby townsfolk confirmed that a strange figure had approached the statue before the storm. Recalling that the bandit leader had a cloak, you asked Jimothy what their plan in town was. While Haelum and Lyronus distracted them, Koshi and Ariadne stealthily compared the torn fabric with the leader's cloak. They didn't match. The bandits explained that they were in town to investigate, quote-unquote, the Thanasis, but the trouble was more than they had wanted to deal with. But the leader offered a mutually beneficial arrangement if you meet them just out of town. And Lyronus got to explain his story, why he was a star, and how he was pulled down by the Queen of Vast Emptiness, a name that he only just mentioned in this last session. Then they took an arrow to the floor, with a message, an arrow with a message hit the floor inviting you guys to meet with DT, with no specifics about who that is precisely. I still love this fucking dashboard. Anyway, so on the to-do list, Sally still needs those flowers. There's apparently, you guys have the option of potentially meeting with DT in about, I think he said about 10 minutes or so. You also can meet with the bandits outside of Vermouth. Danforth Thanasi is kinda sus. And also, as pretty clearly established in this last session, Jimothy totes has a crush on Haelum. Like it was painfully obvious.
As it should be.
Yes. Like, you guys are so quiet, don't leave me out to dry.
Hey, sorry, I was muted.
I appreciate it. Oh gosh, okay. I'm like, good, I can tell the excitement from the other players.
I'm sorry.
Also,
I was concerned about Door.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I have to get this off my chest because I'll never be able to let it go otherwise. Seeing that DT there just makes me think of that one scene from Deadly Premonition.
What
See
scene?
it, Zach? Fresh as a crisp spring morning. DT in the
Oh.
coffee.
Oh no.
Never fails.
You need to get this DT guy coffee now.
I've never seen that, so.
I've never seen it either, but
It's wannabe.
Just
It's
think
wannabe
Twin
Twin
Peaks,
Peaks.
but distinctly more Japanese.
Alright.
Okay.
Let me just move everyone back over to the appropriate place. We are going back to the Reliable Rest Inn, where you guys were all gathered last time. I briefly, because I am seeing two screens now, one of which is the DM version of the of the Roll20, and one which is the public one, and I saw, obscured characters, and I was like, oh, fuck, wait, okay, it's that one. That one's the one that's streaming. Cool. I'm a professional, guys. Like, this is why you should totally give me money for the shit that I do. But yeah, so among other things, Lyronus had actually yelped, because I think I remember rolling pretty poorly for, like, his reaction to the arrow hitting. And he actually rolled so poorly that he literally just yelped and then fell back against the wall.
Meanwhile, Koshi did not bat an eye, and I imagine that's in part because they're used to dealing with, like, messages being sent in less than, like, traditional methods in the criminal underground.
Basically. Okay. So, where did I have my notes, and this is another thing, if y'all didn't know, I know I mentioned it last time, but I do all of my note-taking, my DM notes by hand, the old traditional way of writing them down in a notebook. So you may hear me shuffling papers from now and every now and then. Okay.
That's fair.
So, with let's see, is there anything else that needs to be covered in terms of recap? Because I think we got pretty much most of it. You guys are in town. There is a curse that has befallen the town of Vermouth, where the undead seem to be rising at night and afflicting the town, and this is something that has been going on and off for the past 30 years. You're still investigating what the source of that might be. There are some things like some suspicion about the statue of Lyra, which is in the middle of town, some potential unsavory behavior on the part of the Thanasis that might be involved in that, as well as you guys have your herbalism thing that you did, the quest for the herbalist who needed the special flowers as an ingredient for an anti-zombification potion.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And that is one of the things that you need to probably be taking care of. I mean, okay, I say need. Ultimately, it's your decision if you want to do that. I think it might be a good idea to help prevent more people from becoming undead.
No, I'm pretty sure that was still actually on our to-do list, other than like literal to-do list on the dashboard. But
Yeah.
like that was
Yeah.
basically one of the things that we needed to do. But there's a couple of things that happened that distracted
Yeah.
us.
There was
So,
talking with the bandits, which again, I remember like, oh yeah, I forgot that the leader had a black cloak. Wait, no, I meant that all along. But yeah, that was like, huh, cool. I love it when players get creative. But yes, talking with bandits and establishing the Jimothy crush was very vital to everything. You guys had a very good conversation, learned a lot about Lyronus and his past, and you guys did mention, like, we've got a few options, but obviously the note was someone by the name of DT, and I might as well reread what that was sent to you. What that was sent to you. Ah, yes.
Sure.
Finally, someone who isn't brainwashed or brainless. We need to talk. Meet me in the Reliable Rest Inn. It's the only one, so I hope you can find it. I need your help. Yours, DT. That is my male voice. I have only one. Actually, I have maybe two. I also have a little boy voice, but, like, either way. So, Lyronus, from his place on the floor, finally relents his initial shock, sighing before giggling at his own antics. And he actually asks of Ariadne, "May I see that?" while gesturing to the note.
Oh, sure, here, but, holds also, like, hands to note, but then also holds up a hand to, like, do you need help getting up? You're kind of still there on the floor, bud.
He takes the note, from Ariadne, and, like, he becomes absorbed in reading it, but actually almost even unconsciously accepts her hand while standing up. Like, in accepting her help in standing, but he's very much reading the note as it is.
Understandable, it's a very suspicious note.
Of course it is. And it arrived by an arrow through the window, which is like that's either very precise or very close. I think he might even point that out. So he's looking it over.
Okay.
I have to check my notes for what my character thinks. I think he makes like something of like a somewhat unpleased expression, and it's like, oh boy, this person doesn't sound like they have a lot of patience with us or anyone.
Well, that's not uncommon these days.
These days?
I didn't mean anything by that.
No.
I'll retract that.
Yeah, it's not all that uncommon. Yeah, I think he'll kind of shrug. I mean, I suppose my experience with most people thus far has been a lot of impatience, but to be fair, I kind of tested a lot, so... So, should we agree to meeting this individual? He waves the paper, parchment.
At this point, Koshi just sort of cocks his head and or cocks their head rather, and goes, onwards and upwards.
wouldn't hurt to entertain it.
I mean, we're already here.
He nods at that and kind of like taps his finger against his chin and then thinking, we should probably also check in with Miss Sally afterwards.
Oh, for the flowers, right.
Right.
Seems like a good as plan as any.
You can learn a lot from the flowers.
Certainly so.
I suppose the druid would know. Lyronus kind of like grins at that and says, all right, so shall we head downstairs?
Let's go see who shot an arrow at the staircase then.
It would have been from through this window, through the open door there.
Ah, okay. Good to clarify.
So, if you want to inspect the room where it came from...
Yeah, I assumed it came from downstairs, so we can inspect the room.
Yeah, if you want to.
Investigation?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Haelum, but you got distracted by the door frame.
She's not looking.
Koshi will assist.
I will try to help to see what she
Damn.
says.
Well,
Okay.
Koshi is a curious motherfucker.
Haelum just
yes.
tells Koshi to look.
Oh, no! Ariadne is distracted because Lyronus is still holding her hand.
Oh no.
Koshi sees Ariadne like holding like the hand, just goes Twitter pated. And
He's processing, bitch! Oh, wait,
and then goes on to investigate.
All right. Well, you get in there. Okay, come on, you. You get in there, and I will say that there is nothing particularly of notice. It's just like your standard, in room. Nothing particularly stands out. Except that there does appear to be some dude lying in the bed. Someone who was there earlier. Fudger is literally a star, Koshi. But yes, there's a
So
dude.
there's someone in the room.
Yeah, there's someone
Are
in the
they-
dude, but lying on the bed, snoring.
My next question was going to be if they're conscious or not.
They are currently unconscious, as indicated by the snoring.
Yeah, figured.
Fake snoring.
I mean, he might be.
I mean, with that in mind, Koshi might go over to see whether or not he's actually asleep. So would that be a further investigation?
It would be insight.
All right.
And,
Rolls insight to see what he's dreaming about.
maybe. Mayhaps. You can tell that he's actually, not only has he been asleep, like, for a little bit now, probably since you guys actually stopped the storm, in fact. This guy was one of the people who was in the inn before you guys went out and stopped the storm from kind of destroying everything. And he had been helping himself to at least a handful of the pints. So what you do by looking at him unconscious on the bed is you can actually determine that he is unconscious due to excited imbibement of the local drink.
Right,
That's
so
the way to put it.
yeah, and I imagine, given Koshi's history living in an urban environment, he would recognize, someone who's knocked the fuck out from drink when they see them.
Yeah.
So Koshi walks over, sort of sniffs the air a little, can smell the alcohol coming off this dude's breath, rather.
Oh my god! Why are you sniffing his breast, Koshi?
Listen. What Koshi does in their spare time. Where do you think Koshi gets their ingredients? Anyway.
The chest pocket, apparently?
Apparently, yeah. I mean, they did run a pickpocketing scheme. So.
You can hide a lot of things in boobs, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Koshi kind of investigates, sees this motherfucker just conked out, like, under the blankets, and just sort of, like, quietly buried alive.
I mean, he's not even under the blankets. He clearly collapsed on top of them.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, they still say that anyway because they're buried under, their own sort of decisions there.
It's a metaphorical buried. I promise.
Exactly.
And the only response that Koshi gets is another really loud snore.
Okay. So with that, Koshi makes their way back out of the room.
I will also note that the only thing, because you rolled a 20 before, and brain went in a completely different direction. It's like, oh, well, if he's going into the room, then or if they're going in the room, they're going to see this. You also did notice that while the window itself was open, there did not appear to be any trace of any individuals anywhere near the window.
All right, so there wasn't anyone outside the window, and what was the other thing Koshi ascertained?
That the dude who's in there was unconscious because of drink, and that there was nothing otherwise unusual about the actual room itself.
Okay, so at that point, Koshi would kind of wobble back out with their typical, like, bird
Hobble.
walk. Yeah, exactly. And sort of pass on. Another dead end.
So, nothing in there?
Koshi shakes their head.
My god, I'm gonna... Oh my god, Lyronus, you oblivious fuck. Anyway, he actually responds with, wait, is there someone dead?
Koshi looks around. And then sort of like gestures back to the door and says, lay off the sauce.
Oh goodness. And he kind of like puts his hand to his mouth and looks at the door. Well, perhaps we should close the door for them?
Yeah, might be a good idea.
Lyronus goes to do so.
Wouldn't want any strange birds walking in there.
Lyronus is just kind of like, yes, you're correct. Hey.
He's smiling.
he looks over at Haelum like with a brief like, hey kind of expression, but then just kind of meets her smile with like a knowing response like, oh, you kind of
Sends
thing.
Koshi in there, like, oh no, what if someone goes in there?
Oh, Koshi, you found me.
Oh my gosh. Investigate this.
Oh my god.
Why do you let us do things?
I don't know. That is a very good question. So, roll perception.
All of us?
All of you.
No. Okay.
What do we see with our 4 eyes?
Cool.
Haelum's still like thinking about the story. She's not really focusing on anything.
That's also fair.
Understandable.
Koshi and Ariadne, you, because Lyronus did not. Let me even just check his sheet real quick to make sure he did not, but he rolled a
just did not.
3 on the basis. Yeah, he did not meet that check either.
Ooh.
You hear the sound of a window opening in this room.
Wait, which
Can
room?
we...
Let me ping that. Or you're not on the right. I'm not on the right layer. You're not on the right layer. There we go.
Oh no!
Oh,
So this
Why
room
can't we be
here,
GMs?
you hear a window opening, and that, you may note, was also Koshi's room.
So at this point, Koshi hobbles over and sort of, is the door open or closed?
It's closed.
So Koshi will sort of sort of put their eye up to the keyhole to see if they can see anything.
All right. I guess roll. What would that be? I guess it would be probably perception again,
All right.
because this is a specific. Well, yeah, because it's trying to see if you're able to see and detect something through sight. So,
Okay.
you can see shadowy movement within the room, but you can't make anything specific out.
Koshi slowly reaches for one of the pouches on their, I guess robe you'd call it, and pulls out a dagger. And
Oh dear.
I think I'm going to invoke surprise attack here.
Why?
Oh dear.
Why? Okay. This is like making me flash back to the first fucking motto. It's like, why are you talking to them? They haven't done anything yet.
So
First
Koshi.
mistake going in Koshi's room.
Oh yeah. Well, again, you have to remember, Koshi has spent a lot of their life on the run, and being always on the lookout for any immediate danger towards them.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, being ready to attack makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I
Yes.
think-
Okay. Let's. You know how to strike subtly. Okay, so that's I'm trying to remember. We may not have even plugged this in correctly. But I guess you're readying your sneak attack, but I don't think you can actually do that until you can see your target.
Right,
Oh,
it has to
okay,
be a
fair
target.
enough. All right,
Yeah.
So
You do not yet have a target.
in which case, I guess would I use?
I go find a target.
Would it be stealth to open the door quietly enough to not alarm this person?
Yes, it would be stealth.
All right. So like.
Boy.
Okay. I was gonna set a pretty decently high DC for you to do this, but you even beat that. So you're able to swing open the door. At which point, Lyronus is kind of looking over, starts to say something until the door is opened, and then immediately shuts up again. And as you look into the room, I'm gonna go to the correct layout, and you go ahead and pop on down. You see a somewhat now familiar young man, an edgy-looking young man, crawling. Well, he'd already crawled through the window by this point. I think he's now at this point distracted by the nest that Koshi left there from before, looking at that with a raised eyebrow and like genuine confusion. But he does not seem to have noticed you just yet.
So at this point, would my sneak attack from before still apply, or would I have to do that again?
If you plan on attacking.
You would still
But-
have to roll an attack.
Okay. So let me see here, because I believe I should have a dagger. Yeah, I have the silver dagger.
Right, so you would do a 1d, you'd do a dagger attack roll.
Yeah, not to necessarily hurt him, but I guess how. In my mind, I have an idea of maybe Koshi jumping up on this person's back and holding the dagger to their throat from behind.
So
That would be
that's not necessarily a sneak attack. That's more like a grapple.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
grapple. You would have, I guess, advantage because he hasn't seen you yet. That's what I'm going to say, the ruling on it from the DM. You're going to have advantage on an attack, on the attempt to grapple that. So,
All right.
go ahead, roll, it would be athletics, correct, for a grapple? Yeah, it's athletics for the grapple side of things. Roll
Yes.
athletics twice for your advantage.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yay.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he ends up stepping aside the second that you lunge into the room. Because maybe you trip on like a floorboard or something like that, but literally he, not even looking in your direction, steps to the side. Seems somewhat surprised at seeing this bald bird thing come flying towards him, but he's able to move out of the way with no difficulty whatsoever. I rolled a 19 for him. See,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I imagine like the way it transpired, like Koshi takes their first like prepared step, and like the floorboard squeaks, and they sort of like lunge and then like miss and sort of slam into the wall near the nest, and sort of end up sort of like sprawled upside down on like where the nest is, before trying to correct themselves.
Because I think the nest
It
was
happens.
up on like a wardrobe or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like underneath, like on the floor underneath where that is.
I imagine like the actual nest would be on top of the wardrobe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Koshi
So-
not being in the actual nest would be on the floor next to where the nest is, basically.
Yeah, having slammed into it.
Right. The man, Davies Thanasi, whom you met a couple of episodes ago, and y'all in the stream haven't seen before, but here he is, Mr. Let me scroll in for you, Mr. Edgelord Angry Pants. I call him that, but...
him.
He looks at the bird with surprise, and then remarks, I was not expecting you to be here so soon. Lyronus goes to peek in the door.
And at that point, Koshi sort of like adjusts themselves and goes, wouldn't have been my first call, but down the real world, we're faced with ugly choices.
His eyes narrow at you for a second. I'm gonna roll a quick thing for him. Okay, he seems briefly perplexed, and then says, right, Kenku, right. Well, I was hoping to properly meet you downstairs and spare myself the indignity of you seeing me retreat from our abode, but I suppose this will have to do. And he glances out to the door and spots Lyronus peeking in worriedly. Your friends are also here. He gestures to the nest. I don't suppose you know what that is about.
At this point, Koshi goes, I don't even know who you are.
Maybe you would if you didn't run off, the nerd.
Haelum gets impatient.
Okay. At this point, finally, Lyronus is not oblivious for once. And he goes, Oh, are you the DT in the note? Titus looks at him. Well, there are only a handful of individuals in this town with those initials, but I suppose we haven't been truly formally introduced yet. Yes, I am Davies Thanasi, and he gives a somewhat formal bow.
Oh. What's the word I'm thinking of? He's so, like, he's got manners. Like, she's like, oh, he's got manners.
He's
refined, sophisticated.
He's a gentleman.
We'll see about that.
Yeah,
I was
maybe.
gonna say.
Let's not go that far. Sorry.
Yeah. He smiles briefly, but it's one that he's still, edgelord angry face, but like, he smiles in the sense of, yes, how quaint. Looking around at the situation, do you mind if we move into slightly less cramped quarters and head down to the inn proper, perhaps?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm even going to note, by the way, that originally I was going to have him meet you guys in the inn, with you guys being outside when the arrow hit, but y'all were inside the inn, so I was like,
whoops,
changed a few things around, but now you get to see where he came in from.
Aw, he's being a little sneaky boy.
Yeah, he is. Alright, so, shall we move downstairs?
Yeah.
Alright, just...
Works for me.
Lyronus teleports. Davies moves his way past. And I'll scoot this back out so you guys can see what's going on.
I'll even say that Haelum, like, walking away from the door, like, just taps, like, Ariadne on the shoulder and be like, well, we're gonna be meeting downstairs now.
Oh, right, sure, right, let's go.
Davies does the Riker sit on this chair back here, pretty much exactly where Jimothy was before.
What is with this table?
It's perfect for, I think... Actually, I'm going to roll perception to see... Did she actually ask that out loud?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was going to have Lyronus, maybe he'll read your mind.
Alright, well, roll insight to see if he knows what I'm thinking.
And sits down at the other side of the bench, kind of looking over at the... Is Koshi on top of the table?
You have to ask.
I think at this, Ariadne goes up. Koshi, wrong table. It's that one over there.
Koshi just cocks their head and remains seated where they are.
Koshi?
And they say nothing.
The note says he wanted to talk with all of us.
Koshi, don't sass me, boy. Them.
Lyronus is watching them worriedly, and meanwhile, Davies is looking at this situation, and there's, like, obvious displeasure in his expression at this point. So he clears his throat loudly, and then says, Well, at the very least, some of you are interested in what I have to say. I suppose my initial assessment that you're not all brainless is apparently a not completely accurate belief.
At which point, Koshi sort of goes, I'm surrounded by idiots.
Jesus. Lyronus raising a hand. I mean, it's true. I'm usually in that, I suppose, idiot camp, but, well... Anyway, Davies looks to Haelum now. I must say I was rather impressed with the way you handled my father. That is the first time I've ever seen my father even slightly put off by someone. So, congratulations! You have the pleasure and honor of my attention.
Oh, wow, I do feel honored. Thank you.
He's regarding her carefully as he's thinking about this.
She's given him the sweet smile to which, like, someone might assume she's being sarcastic, but you can't really tell with her.
Mm-hmm. And so, well, I mean, it certainly is an honor, trust me. Anyway, I'm guessing you've noticed that things aren't exactly so picturesque in pastoral Vermouth, eh? Thank goodness. Every idiot in this town is either oblivious or too scared to confront the truth. At this, he kind of leans back slightly, arms folded over his chest. What have you been able to ascertain about the situation thus far?
Well, I mean, fear is a controlling factor, but in terms of things that we have found out, it sounds as though there is a curse on this town that nobody likes to talk about unless really pride, and it has something to do with the undead, and perchance something to do with the statue in the middle of town.
He kind of nods at that, and actually, roll insight.
Yeah. Insight time.
Ooh.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'll even say the sort of like in response to like I guess to continue on where Haelum left off regarding like the undead, Koshi will go. As darkness falls, more and more of them appear, clambering resolutely.
Interesting. All right. Unfortunately, Haelum and Ariadne, you're not able to pick up on this, but Koshi. Oh, I should probably roll for Lyronus too. Yeah, he's able to pick up on this too for once again. Apparently, he's just on the same wavelength with Davies today. But yeah, you're able to pick up on. He flinched when you mentioned the statue. And the insight that you're going to get from that, especially because you rolled so well there, and Lyronus is also going to pick up on this as well, is that there seems to be something specific about the statue that he's cringing about, and that it perhaps might be related to something that you're already investigating.
Koshi picks up on this and sort of gives him an understanding nod, not necessarily having the right words to articulate this specific understanding at this point in time.
Right. So he kind of nods and like clears his throat again, saying, yes, well, it does sound like you have been rather busy since you rolled into town yesterday. Well, and what was the exact things that you all listed again? I apologize.
I guess that there's a curse, zombies, and the statue. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and Koshi basically pointing out the fact that the undead make themselves especially known at nighttime when people tend to hide themselves away.
And Ariadne's just gonna back them up by saying it that corroborates with what she's noted down. She's comparing notes to what they were saying, and yeah.
So he nods, and then at this point he leans forward onto the table, like putting his elbows on, and it's like steepling his fingers under, like in front of his mouth, like, Gendo Akari.
Yeah.
Kind of look. So, do you think this has any connection to the storm that hit us earlier today?
Well, considering it had some kind of magical nature to it, I wouldn't put it off the table.
And at that point, Koshi even sort of like speaks up pretty much to corroborate what they know so far of their connection with even stopping the storm. Nature's little reminder that there's something else besides us in the universe. Harmonic connection between all living beings, everywhere. Even the stars.
Who said that?
Lyronus looks over his shoulder at Koshi with, like, you know, bright sparkling eyes, like, ooh, like...
Something about stars?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing. All
That's
things
fair.
considered, but yes, the connection with nature and all of that. Everyone roll perception.
No.
Yes!
That's
Alright.
certainly a valid argument. One I agree with.
Cool. And Lyronus, do you spot it? He nat 20'd it, so yes, he does.
Yay!
So, you will actually notice, as he's leaning forward with his elbows onto the table and his hands stapled in front of his face, there appears to be a recent abrasion on his right wrist.
Abrasion? Like a bruise?
Like when you scrape your hand against, like, concrete or something. Interesting. So you think that, say, the forces of nature themselves are trying to deal with this curse? Is that what you have arrived at as a conclusion?
Koshi nods and then sort of leaps down from the table. And is there a window nearby that can give them a view of the lake and or statue?
If there was one, it would probably be, like, somewhere in this area.
Right, so
Well, actually, Jesus, I'm trying to remember the fucking layout, because the door is, like, here, so yeah, there'd be a window right around here. Ignore the layout of the actual fucking stairs. This would be, like, upstairs kind of thing. But, yeah, so somewhere around here, there would be a window regarding the river cutting through town, as well as the statue outside.
Right, so Koshi would go over there, sort of hobble over to the open window, point specifically at the statue, and go, gods are nothing more than a construct, created by man to inspire fear and promote order.
He kind of, like, raises an eyebrow over at Koshi. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at something and I can't tell you why. But he does not appear to have any kind of remark on that.
So Koshi's implying that the statue itself is the problem, or?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're basically saying that nature is the real thing running the shots in the world, and that gods are basically bullshit made up by people who want to be in charge.
Oh, so he's literally saying that gods be fake.
Yeah.
Well, Lyronus actually at that then looks at Koshi absolutely aghast and actually straight out says, I apologize, but were you not hearing my story about what my father did and all of that? Did they exist? They are genuinely... They exist! I know firsthand!
I don't know if Koshi's really the one you should be trying to... What's the word I'm thinking of? Persuade in this situation.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to persuade him, but that's just a rather unusual... I'm sorry, I apologize. I was caught off guard.
Oh, no need to apologize. I mean, Koshi says and does things that confuses us a lot lately, but I don't think it's necessarily a slight at you.
Well, no, I didn't take it as a personal slight. He then stops himself and then says, anyway, that's a side tangent. And,
What's that, Jane?
Oh, no, it's all good, it's all good.
please, go ahead.
No, it's more of a just like, I guess the statement of like, I agree with you in that like gods do exist, but that probably isn't what we should be focusing on
Yeah.
now. It's one of those, like, we have to, I think maybe it might be best to agree to disagree for now. And
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Davies sits upright a little bit more. Like, his hands are still steepled in front of him, but it's no longer, like, directly in front of his mouth. His back is a little bit more straight. And he says, well, it would be interesting, in fact, if it were nature itself attempting to rectify the curse or whatever it is that's happening in this town. But I have unfortunate news. That is an entirely man-made disaster. And I happen to know this because it's something that came from my father's estate.
Specifically.
He kind of just smirks. I'm sure you've heard by now of the various dealings that my father likely has been involved in. I mean, it's not exactly difficult to follow the money trail that he leaves. He's not exactly discreet with all of it, but it is rather well known, at least from anyone who's not burying their head in the sand, that my father enjoys dealing with rare items from out of town.
We did hear something about that, huh? She's kind of like turning to the group.
Lyronus nods.
As does Koshi.
Davies smirking. As it turns out, that storm was conjured by an item that my father had obtained, about 5 years ago. I'd known of it, but he'd kept it somewhere that I could not locate it until today. I figured, with new people arriving in town, now might be a good chance to try and stress the importance of what it means to deal with magical items. And I'm gonna roll. I guess actually roll insight on that, guys.
Yeah, I think I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haelum gets what...
Yes.
I get what he's saying, and Haelum gets what he's saying. We're on the
Also-
same page, finally.
yay.
And you guys all are able to pick up on this, except for Lyronus, who's just like probably still lingering on Koshi's remark about the gods being fake.
Can't help but worry about it.
You're able to pick up that, especially because you saw the fucking, well, some of you saw the abrasion on his wrist anyway.
Yeah.
You're able to piece together that he seems to be implying that he was the one who activated the fucking thing in the first place.
Well, we're just gonna have to arrest you for that now, aren't we? Just kidding.
It's kind of illegal behavior. But
At this point, Koshi removes the piece of black cloth from one of their pouches and sort of looks at it and then at their guest here to see whether or not they are wearing anything that could potentially match up with it.
well, he's dressed all in black. Also, hello, Shram. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you. Hope you guys who are watching are having fun listening to us and listening to me scramble trying to figure out shit.
Yeah.
But I apologize. What were you guys saying in character just now?
Oh, just kidding.
No.
Good.
I think Koshi was like trying to compare to cloth, but if he's wearing all black.
Yeah, he's wearing all black, and I will even say you don't have to look hard to see that none of it appears to be torn, but this is more just, and I'm going to assume because Koshi is smart enough to probably figure this out anyway,
Oh, yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't wearing a cloak at some point.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. So at that point, Koshi sort of just not winces, but sort of like closes her eyes somewhat while looking at this gentleman before putting the black cloth away.
Mm-hmm. Honestly speaking, we weren't cursed by chance, after all. All of these little magic dealings that my father decided to deal with, well, or all these magic dealings that my father got himself entangled with, they've had compounding effects over the years. And it wasn't from some random lady stumbling into town either. It was definitely from something that my father decided to do. Meddling in business where they had no business meddling.
To which Koshi speaks up. Some things in this world are better left where they lie.
I also apologize just in general if I seem a little bit scattered today. It has been an interesting day. And unfortunately, my brain is a little bit on the foggier side as a result of some of the stuff that's been going on. But as a fun little aside note, I've got ADHD, which sometimes leads to a little bit of frayed perception. I'm trying to keep my head on straight, so I'm just going to make excuses for myself. But anyway.
You're fine. We understand.
If you need to take a minute, like, don't feel like you can't take a minute to, like, recollect and stuff, so.
Yeah.
You need a minute. You're gonna fucking sit there. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna sit here and stare blankly out into the... No. At this, Lyronus kind of like, so the legend of what happened here years ago was not true? Davies shrugs a little bit, but he's smirking at this. Check my notes real quick. And basically saying that, oh, well, the woman that came into town certainly had something to do with the events, but the things that actually led to the curse itself transpired long before she made her way out onto the streets. And at this, he explains, all while keeping an eye scanning around them, that back then, Danforth had been hit hard by the loss of his wife. She died in childbirth with me. And my father never forgave me for that. He struggles for a moment, and then continues to explain that as he grew older, Danforth stopped addressing him by name. He only learned what happened to his sister by hearing it from others, because it was never discussed in their house. Emily died when Davies wasn't even a year old, so he never knew her. But she was all Danforth ever talked about. But starting about a month ago, he got even more reclusive, refusing to leave what used to be Emily's room unless necessary. And then these undead started popping up again. I'm sure my father is involved, but I can't do anything about it. No one believes me, but you. And at this, he's looking specifically at Haelum.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to the rest of y'all, he's just like, he's picked up on Haelum for this particular bit.
She's the focus of the conversation, so she's fine with that.
Yeah.
She's the center of attention, all is as it should be.
Exactly. You might be able to knock some sense into him.
I see. So we need to get him on... No, let me see how she's going to say that. Without going into character, I think she's understanding, like, okay, so father did a bad, caused all of this, which is what she initially thought. Now we've got someone in the family on our side, so she's thinking, befriend him, get him to either tell the truth or fix it. And she'll kind of relay that to the tune of, so it would be up to us to sort of pick his brain, infiltrate, and get him to clean up his mess?
His expression actually kind of falters, like the smirk finally leaves his face slightly. And at that, another smirk kind of pops up, but this one is far more bitter. Kind of like, it's far angrier than his cocky smirks that he's been doing so far. Well, I wish you luck in actually being able to pick his brain. As soon as he finished with you, he disappeared back into Emily's room. And then at that, he sighs.
I see. So he's quite reclusive then.
Has been for the last 30 years.
Well, if he won't come out, we'll just have to go in. Koshi, you know how to pick locks, right?
Davies looks up as soon as you say that, And he actually started to smile and open his mouth to respond, and then you talked to Koshi, and his mouth snapped shut again. And then the anger is back, and he goes, "Absolutely not. You won't have to do that.
Oh, I see.
I would like your help in confronting my father, and I don't believe that going in through some sort of lock-picking venture," and then he actually skeptically looks at Koshi. Not that I would know anything about those particular skills, but I don't think they will be necessary. If you come
Meta
by the
comment,
door...
or going through a window.
I was thinking that.
At that point, Koshi has already gotten some of their like tools out.
Put them
and is
away. Put them away.
is fiddling with them in their hands, and you can, like, the closest among you would just barely be able to hear Koshi go, "They'll understand. When they see, they'll understand."
You'll get to use your items another day.
If you agree to help, I will need to make certain arrangements and see what I can do to at least make sure that you will not be confronted by, say, some of the individual guards around the estate. I can make sure that they are busy and tasked with something else. Should take me maybe an hour or two. If you are willing to stop by at that point, I will be able to let you in right through the front door. Save you all the trouble of having to pick locks or climb through windows, for that matter.
She smiles at that and says, "Well, I see. I guess we'll still need to be somewhat secretive, but we do have a man on the inside now."
He kind of like that. He chuckles, not exactly like me, but he chuckles.
Yeah.
You certainly do. Or shall I say that I have a lovely lady and her friends on the outside.
Nerd.
Yeah.
It's a matter of perception.
Lyronus just grins happily. And basically, he agrees that, yes, Haelum is a lovely lady, and yes, Davies has the support of the team. He's just going to speak for everyone by saying that, but that's
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I agree. If Haelum agrees, then she's like, "Naz, yes, you may speak for us."
There is nothing wrong with that statement.
So, at this, Davies looks at the others, trying to think if there's anything else that he needs to cover. Let's see. No? Okay. So, yeah?
If things go south, what is, basically the idea is, like, if this intervention goes airy, like, does he, like, is there,
What do we do if go bad?
yeah, like,
Do we
preferences?
have a plan? Do we escape? Do we fight? Probably
Do
not.
we, do we still pretend that, like, we're not on the same side?
Koshi raises a dagger.
Put away.
I think Lyronus would also be gesturing to Koshi, like, no, put it down. Davies is actually going to look at Ariadne at this point and ask, well, I suppose on what you mean by going wrong. What do you anticipate might go wrong?
Anything can happen. It's one of those, like, you go in to have a talk, and then all of a sudden it turns out that the person you're talking
getting
to
arrested.
you're getting arrested, or the one you're confronting turns out to be a dragon in disguise. It's he's been reclusive for 30 years, and so, like, there are lots of things he could have been working on behind the scenes, given this curse and everything. So
Sure,
it doesn't hurt to be prepared.
It's
but
been 30
also-
years.
Yeah.
Also,
Like, would we
hello.
be putting you in would the team be putting Davies in danger if it, like, if there's a tip off that, like, they're working together, or would you
Also, hello, Noodle King. Davies kind of thinks about that for a moment and says, well, I'm perfectly capable of handling myself, so if things end up going perhaps a little bit not quite according to plan, I should be able to improvise on my end, but I do hope you'll understand if I'm not exactly quick to ally myself with you publicly if things do not work out in your favor.
Yeah, that was the thing there. Okay, so basically, okay, so the plan is pretend we're not associated if things go south. Okay, cool. Thank
I
you.
may not be able to get you in through the front door, at which point, if that's the case, then you have my permission to find an alternative route into the estate. I believe you saw where I came in from. But I would prefer that you approach through the front door. At least at that rate, it will still be the heroes coming to the rescue of the Thanasi estate instead of a bunch of miscreants making their way in through a window.
I was going to make that note, too, that it is good that we are currently on his good side. Well, maybe less so me, but if we can remain in his good graces, then perhaps persuading the information out would be much easier. We won't know until we try.
Mm-hmm.
Davies actually nods at that and adds, I think, given, at the very least, at the political pressure of making sure that he saves face with the current heroes of this town, he probably will at least cooperate with at least some interrogation. I cannot confirm whether or not he will be amenable to explaining everything, but he will still likely have to hear you out, especially if I am the one who lets you in through the front door. It would look very bad if his own son let the heroes in and he himself did not actually address the heroes. And then he pauses and then grins. I wonder if there might have been an ulterior motive to setting loose that storm.
At which point, Koshi decides to bring up a point, lifting their dagger again. The one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fall, die trying.
Davies nods appreciatively and points in Koshi's direction. That is true. And given his current standing in the town, I'm sure the rest of this town would be very happy to see him fail. I know I will. Arrogant little son of a bitch. You guys may remember when I was talking in the chat before about how I've made the anti-Lyronus.
Yeah. There he is.
There he be! Cocky sumbitch who just is not a nice person. Just in general. I mean, he's got genuine grievance, I think, given what he was talking about, but he says, alright, well, give me about maybe an hour or so. In fact, I may be able to send you a message myself if you're not here within a certain amount of time, although I don't recommend wasting my patience.
Should we expect another arrow, then?
Hopefully not in the skull. And Lyronus at this, his eyes widen, and he goes, don't do that. These are good people.
At which point, you might also notice an arrow head to the wall fired from Koshi. At which point he speaks up. What's in it for us?
Did he just fire an arrow into the wall?
Yeah.
Just now?
Yes.
Okay, Sovalis comes over. Where did you put the arrow?
Basically, just I forget how to paintball. Just put Koshi around there.
That's where. So Sovalis comes running over at this point, and he goes, "Hey, what are you?" He looks over at Koshi. Was there some reason you decided to do that?
Koshi just raises a finger to Sovalis, and then sort of hobbles over to their partner here, getting all up close. If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Haelum, in the meantime, is going to go to the wall, take out the arrow, and profusely apologize to Sovalis and just be like,
Koshi has this nervous tic we're trying to take care of.
Sovalis is just as you're helping to take out the arrow, he runs his hand over the wall, and there's a little bit of sadness in his face, and knowing what you do about his history with this inn and all of that, everything that he's faced, like, god damn it, Koshi, why? Anyway,
Would you like us to pay for the damages? Starts to take out the coin.
Davies looks at what Koshi did to the wall with a little bit of surprise, has mentally stored that little notion, and then Koshi coming up right next to him, he stands and looks at Koshi with, you know, I can't say glaring daggers per se, but there's definitely a whoa motherfucker kind of look on his face. He basically he goes, you're asking for compensation.
If the shoe fits.
So, doing the right thing and making sure that an existential threat to this town, that's not enough of a reward for you?
To which Koshi goes, well, to each their own. I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero.
Davy smirks at that. Perhaps he can be persuaded.
So...
But you're gonna have to make a case first.
Alright. So I suppose, yeah, so like before I actually do the persuasion roll?
Make your case and then roll persuasion.
Alright, so I guess in, basically saying, because I might not necessarily have a specific quote in mind for Koshi, but basically the point they're trying to make is, like, if we're going to be, you know, getting ourselves involved in the affairs of this town's, you know, inner politics, we deserve to be fairly compensated, both with gold and supplies for the next leg of our journey.
Well, because it's a specific restriction of the Kenku, I know you don't necessarily have a quote directly to fit that, but I want to give you a moment to think of something that he might have heard that would allow him to string together such a similar argument. I don't mean to, like, force the issue, I'm just asking you to be creative.
If I can help, one thing that I did do with my Kenku, it's that you don't have to necessarily repeat quotes, you can string together a sentence.
That is fair.
Yes.
Like, it may be, like, maybe even for Koshi in this case and how you play them, it's like, it's kind of uncomfortable to do that. It's a little weird, but like Koshi is put into a position where it's like, oh man, I have to make my own sentences. Damn it! And maybe he can try. Maybe they can try this time.
So it could be something like, "Well, I heard that you."
But don't say it like that, please. Spare me.
No, say it like
maybe,
that.
Yeah, maybe something to the extent of like, good help these days is worth its weight in gold. I scratch my back, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Again, we'll just ignore that little flub there on my part.
I know, I just picture you, I scratch my back, you get fleas.
Continue.
Please continue.
God. But yeah, maybe going on from there, like, maybe specifically, a week's supplies for the road.
All right, roll your persuasion.
All right.
Damn.
I was gonna say I would try to help if you needed it, but I don't think you need it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So basically, getting paid in gold as well as supplies.
Interesting. So, Davies takes a long moment to think about it, looking at Koshi, looking to the others, looking over at Haelum, and then back to Koshi. And then he kind of folds his arms over his chest. Well, I suppose we can speak of payment after you actually accomplish anything with my father, if you're able to. I'm not going to hand you money simply on the basis of you agreeing to help. I hope you understand. Also, hello, Gumshoe.
Hello.
I think Haelum's gonna add to that, basically saying,
Oh, well, that's understandable. If this is meant to be some sort of exchange, well, one thing should happen before the other. I mean, at least it can be agreed upon what should be exchanged.
and she's handing Koshi back their arrow.
Koshi takes it and then sort of like plays with the arrow as they continue on.
Koshi
Half up
distracted.
front, rest upon completion.
Half up front, rest upon completion.
Hmm.
I guess roll persuasion.
All right. Ah.
As a matter of fact, he straight up laughs at you as you try to persuade him to give you any money before you do anything. So he laughs at that, and he says, "All I know so far is that you can stop a magical storm, which, don't get me wrong, is rather impressive. But I'm not going to give you anything until the agreed-upon task is completed. The agreed-upon task, by the way, being convince my father to, well, give up all of his magical nonsense and perhaps try to get over my sister, who died 30 years ago and he still isn't over it." And at this, Sovalus is looking at Davies like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Sovalus looks at Davies, and you can actually roll insight.
Yeah.
Let's do
Oh
this.
shit. Lyronus knows.
Does Haelum knows?
You all know this. You notice that Sovalus is shaking with anger at what Davies just said. And he actually has a moment where he steps forward, looks like he's about to confront the boy, and then balls his fists, dips his head forward, and then turns his head away. I think he actually steps back again. Davies smirks at him and says, "I'm sorry if I offended your sensibilities, but let's be real. The Thanasis have done very little to help this town, haven't we?" Sovalus says nothing. Besides which, you know you can't touch me. If you did, you'd only be making things harder for yourself and everyone else here. Sovalus continues to say nothing.
Way to diffuse the situation.
Is Haelum's diffusion capabilities required? Is she gonna step up? Yes, she is. She's gonna put a hand on the table real quick, kind of in between the two, and looking at Davies, but then like speaking to Sovalus, she says,
I apologize if our conversation has upset you, Sovalus. This is not our intention, and I fully wish to speak with you soon, but I think maybe you need a moment to step away.
Sovalus at that looks at Haelum, and there's actually like clear gratitude at the acknowledgement there.
mm-hmm.
And then he sighs and says, "It will be..." Or, I'm trying to think of exactly how he words this. It's the... He kind of then grins and says, "Yes, I think it is... I think we should speak after this. Once you're done with this child, whom I should not let actually needle me the way that he's trying to, I would be happy to discuss things further. In the meantime, I have to see what I can do to patch a hole in the wall." And at this, he scoots back over.
So like that whole time she had been facing Davies and like turned her head to speak with Sovalus, she turns back to Davies. She had a smile on her face. She turns back to him, smile gone.
All right, so I think that if we're going to be helping you, we need to put something out on the table here. Unacceptable behavior. I don't care how rich and powerful you may be, that's not going to fly with us. If you really didn't intend to pay us, and your whole plan was, oh, they'll do this out of the goodness of their heart, yes, of course, I know I will. Our friend Koshi, maybe not. We can discuss this another time. However, I don't think it's within your best interest to antagonize the people of the town which you wish to help. But it sounds as though your true intention is to get back at your father, is it not?
Oh,
What do I have to roll? Because I'll do it.
Is that intimidation?
I'm even gonna say, because of that, you can choose actually between intimidation or persuasion.
Well, of course I'm gonna pick persuasion.
And everyone can also roll insight at his response to this. Lyronus, you fuck. Damn!
My insight's not great. She's not really focused on his reaction so much as just the words he's saying, so she's not reading too deeply into it.
Interesting.
She's a little mad.
I mean, this is unfortunately neither Koshi nor Haelum nor Lyronus, you fuck, are able to pick up on exactly how much your words actually affected him. But Ariadne, you can pick up that. What was the wording that you used again?
The gist of what she's saying is, don't act like a dick, because you want us to do this out of the goodness of our hearts, which we will, but it doesn't sound like that's what you want. You just sound like you want to get back at your dad.
Right. At that, he actually, all amusement has dropped out of his face, and he's regarding Haelum with actually a look of indignant rage, actually, at this point.
Get mad about it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
And at this, he actually slams his own hand down at the table, glaring at her.
Do it.
But then he grits his teeth and then smirks again. But this is very clearly the smirk of, I'm going to cover up for the fact that you just hit a raw nerve, you fuck.
Let's go!
And he says, well, it doesn't really matter if I'm trying to get back at my father or not, does it? So long as the end result is he pays for his crimes and all those who have suffered underneath him, and this town is perhaps freed of a curse that has afflicted it for 30 years. Whether or not we agree that the curse is my father or what he wrought upon us all, that is yet to be determined. But at this, he raises his hand, like he lifts his hand from the table again and straightens. I will consider compensating you. And I'm adding a note, by the way, that he's saying consider. You did succeed with the persuasion.
Yeah.
He's saying I will consider, so he's likely going to make good on that, but he's saving face here kind of thing. Like, you don't even need insight to pick up on this at this point. I will consider how to compensate you. You mentioned travel outside of Vermouth? And Lyronus says, well, yeah, I mean, we're trying to get me home again. And, well, I mean, I'm trying to get home again, and they've agreed to help, which was very nice of them. But that would presumably be not anywhere near Vermouth.
We'll be here as long as we need to help the town, of course, but I mean, it's not as though we plan to stay here as well.
Well, the next best bet for being able to make sure that you have supplies for whatever adventure you have next would probably be Firnwall. That is the nearest town. And Koshi, you will just recognize this because that was the city you just came from.
Koshi gives a soft nod.
So, I shall be able to provide you enough supplies to be able to travel out that way without much difficulty. I can't say I'm going to let you arrive in luxury, but I can at least agree to help you along the way. You will not starve, and that's my only real guarantee here.
Well, that's better than nothing.
Lyronus looks at him, and I swear to God, he basically does, like, puppy eyes at this, and he says, well, I mean, surely you can make it a lot more comfortable. I mean, I'll be fine, but my friends have already done so much. I wonder if perhaps, well, you could do a little bit more luxury for them? Perhaps horses? Maybe even a wagon of some sort? Hey, nice.
I need to check something with my own dice.
Eh.
Does Haelum know what a horse is?
I mean, they would have had horses passing through.
Alright, I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just
Yeah.
had a moment of realization. Like, she doesn't know a lot of things, and I was like, is she gonna be excited about a horse? Pause.
Horses.
Does she know what a horse is?
Horses would be, I imagine, within elven lands. After all,
Horses
they
have
do
full
travel.
legs.
You mean a hornless unicorn?
I was gonna say a hornless
Yeah.
deer.
Oh, there you go.
I mean,
No, it's fine. I just wanted to check. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Davies looks at Lyronus and then to the others, and he says, well, and he clears his throat again. Again, I will see what I can arrange for, but depending on how well you all do in taking care of this matter, perhaps I can compensate you more. I'm trying to think of the right word for this. more
Comfortably?
more comfortably. Thank you. There we go. More
Yeah.
comfortably.
At which point, Koshi nods and then goes, "Remember, Shan, numbers do not lie. Politics, poetry, promises, these are lies. Numbers are as close as we get to the handwriting of nature."
Okay.
Davies looks at Koshi and then says, "It sounds like you've been reading too many poems and not actually dealing with enough people."
And saying that to like the guy who like has been in like the big city between the rest of the party.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, Koshi responds, "Life. Life always decides."
You're gonna say life finds a way.
As it is, I need to head back in before they notice that I am gone. That all said, again, maybe an hour or so, and come to the front door, and, well, if you are greeted by a guard, come back later. If you are greeted by me, then hopefully that is enough of a tip-off that you should be able to come in.
Sounds good.
Very well, then. And at this, he starts heading up the stairs. Sovalis actually calls after him. "Just so you know, since they decided to meet you here, I'm going to charge you for the damage done to the wall." Davies halts. And I didn't move the actual thing over here. There we go. Davies halts and glares at Sovalis, mutters something under his breath, and says, "Well, a hole like that should be pretty easy to repair. Certainly send a bill to my father's estate." And Sovalis says, "Oh no, I'm going to be addressing it to you directly, Davies." Davies frowns and huffs, and he continues his way.
Huffs and puffs.
He huffs and puffs and behaves like a little boy. Anyway.
So at that point, once he's taken his leave, Koshi looks over to Haelum and goes, "Keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and wait to find out which is which."
First of all, Griffin, I hate you. Second of all, Helen goes, "Wow, I guess that makes sense."
I think Lyronus kind of thinks about that. I mean, as long as everyone's living comfortably and those who are suffering no longer have to suffer, I suppose that's actually not a bad idea. Make everyone able to afford everything that they need, and... What was that about making sure that you can find out which afterwards?
Keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and wait to find out which is which.
That's a good line. I'm gonna have to remember that. He looks to Ariadne. Are you still writing everything down?
Oh, looks at her. She's tried to, but then she kind of got distracted partway through. So it's just because, like, the whole, like, especially with the confrontation earlier with Sovalis and Davies, and the whole, like, everyone processes grief differently.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, a couple chords have been kind of struck, so it's kind of like oops, right, I have some notes, but then not that much.
To which,
Unfortunately, not that much. I can go back and fix it later, though.
to which Koshi responds, "Ha! Makes me glad I can't read."
We can teach you later if you would like.
Lyronus kind of nods agreeingly with Ariadne.
That's it, though. If we are getting horses, we're all sharing. You're not going without a horse. That's all.
Who was she saying that to?
Lyronus, because he was like, "Hey, just get all my friends' stuff. Don't get me stuff." It's like, bitch.
Bitch, you're our friend too.
Yeah.
Lyronus smiles at Ariadne and says, "I have spent the last 15 years of my life cooped up in a tower. I will be happy for the walking."
I actually prefer the walking.
Well, then we may only need 2 horses.
I never said I didn't want a horse.
That's fair.
Sorry, go ahead, Jane.
It's just one of those. I have legs. They're usable.
Ariadne voice, my legs.
I think
There's a moment of, I guess, hypocrisy too, because like the stuff that he was saying, she was absolutely gonna say that, but then it was like,
No, let me be the one to give up my horse.
yeah. So it's like, girl, you hypocrite. Oh my frick. But yeah, it's just yeah.
I mean, I think he'll even add at this point, we can figure out exactly how many horses we need once we actually get to the bottom of all of this. That all said, he looks at Koshi. You seem to have an interesting fascination with compensation.
Power. That's what life's about, isn't it?
Lyronus shrugs.
Haelum also shrugs.
I mean, it seems as though there's two camps in this group. One, the group wanting to do this out of the goodness of their hearts,
Pointing towards herself, like putting her hand on her chest.
and those of us who would still like to get something in return. Now, I won't say that that's necessarily a bad thing, nor selfish. I mean, being asked to do a task like we're doing, I mean, I suppose it would require some compensation. So, good on you, Koshi, for asking, because I don't believe any of the rest of us would have. And it's good foresight considering that when we do leave, we will need some supplies.
And who better to ask than, I guess, one of the richer people in town.
True, very true.
And then Haelum kind of frowns.
I don't know why I thought maybe politics would be different here.
Lyronus raises an eyebrow at that, and I'm just gonna... something. Okay, interestingly enough, he actually then asks, oh, you have experience with politics then?
Oh, yes, quite. Oh, I don't think I've ever said this out loud. I'm an elven courtier. This is my job. The thing that I did before with the talking and mediating and dissolving of conflict. That's my thing.
Oh. And like this
No,
again, sparkly eyes Lyronus at this. He's genuinely like fascinated by this. Oh, so
So
you're...
it's only been with other elves.
Oh, but that's still amazing. I mean, there's
Well,
some
thank you.
there's some interesting intrigue that happens among the elves. I mean, especially going back many hundreds of years. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure that much would have changed since I was last in this world. But yes, there's a lot of intrigue that goes on behind the scenes, if I may say. And at this, he puts like his hand to his chin and smirking. The elves are not all light and connection with nature.
No, not all of them.
Some of them are underground, if I recall correctly.
That is true.
Yes, about that.
That's right!
They certainly. Some do tend to be night owls. In a way, yes. Some are averse to sunlight for historical reasons, and elves are certainly elves.
Elves are certainly... I'm sorry. I think Lyronus is going to just, like, smile and nod in agreement. I'm just kind of like, elves are certainly elves. Yes, that is not an incorrect statement.
Y'all are making her think of home, and it's like, yeah, underground elves, yeah.
At this, Koshi leans over to Haelum. There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Oh my god.
Bruh, that's literally where she grew up, though. That's all she knows. Night elves.
So, Lyronus, again, kind of looking over the situation. So, he said we've got, what, roughly an hour or so?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we should take the time to visit Miss Sally, then?
Right, we do have the flowers still here in our pockets, and
Better to get them to her sooner rather than let them wilt in our pockets, eh?
certainly.
I need to get out of Davy's voice, but it's like I have to pick between my male voices. I've got like the one. But yes, he's much more brighter, happier. Anyway. So he kind of smiles and says, "Well then, after you." And gesturing to everyone else and then towards the door.
At this point, Koshi just sort of like, I guess, almost like a chimp, like feet first, leaps off the table and starts hobbling their way towards the door so that they can exit the inn.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let me just fix a few things. You, go. There. There we go. You guys can't see it yet.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna move.
I think under her breath, she'll, like, Ariadne might mention one last thing. It's like, yeah, like, even something to the note of, like, even politics among those underground, relations be tricky. It's kind of universal, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
But she's not sure that's within her area, right to speak up about that. So it's more of a keeps it to yourself thing.
Yeah. But, yep. Heading out into the town then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So here we are back on this map. The map of the town of Vermouth, for those of you who may not have been here previously in the last session or did not have the chance to watch that video. This is Vermouth. Anyway. And I don't think I have a specific map for the ancient stream, which is this place here, which is actually, was it? No, that was the bakery. This was the fucking herbalist. Jesus Christ, I'm good at this shit. So yes, this is where the herbalist / general store is. And so I think Lyronus would point it out. I believe that was where we met with her before, correct?
I believe so.
Koshi wastes no time and simply continues hobbling over in that direction.
Well, let's just follow Koshi then.
That's not a bad idea. They do seem to know what they're doing. Sometimes. Bafflingly sometimes. But yes.
Is it this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just jumps up on the roof.
Jumps on the roof. Dancing on the roof.
They're just
party.
elves are actually cats, confirmed.
Godfish.
Anyway. Okay. So no particular map for this, but if you guys go in.
Yeah.
The
Perhaps
moment
we all are druids on the roof.
God damn it, I should not have shown you that movie.
Fiddler's on the roof, I see you.
Yes.
If I were a rich bird.
I feel like you need to actually do that as a cover for even just like a verse or two. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
the moment that you walk in the door, a man standing at the counter barks, "Ain't you got no sense? Do you think we'd be open after something like that?" The man, short and well-rounded, huffs at you. He looks like he's going to say more, but Sally emerges from the back. "Wally, you absolute walnut. These aren't customers, they're heroes." I will also note, the general store looks pretty much what you would expect it to be, other than the fact that there appears to be quite a bit of debris from the results of the storm, and they're still clearly picking up. There are signs of, like, things that had been knocked over and broken, but, like, dirt that has been... Because a lot of there are plants in the store, and the plants sometimes need to be in pots. So things like that being kind of swept up and cleaned up. They seem largely okay, but again, the storm was pretty fucking intense. So, Sally turns to the group and kind of sighs and says, "That was my husband, Wally. He runs the general store part of the ancient stream, while I work as the herbalist."
So Koshi turns, I guess, has the husband already left?
No, he's still in the room. He's only just kind of gone back over to behind where the counter is.
Alright, so at that point, Koshi sort of looks towards the husband and does a bit of a a gracious bow, going, "A pleasure to meet you at last."
Wally, sorry, I'm checking my notes on something that I actually missed doing. Whoops doodle. But that's okay. All right. Sorry.
And,
Wally looks at the Kenku with a very skeptical look, a very skeptical expression, and says, "I believe you have business with my wife."
Koshi nods and then goes, "We come bearing gifts," and then sort of like puts her hands to the side as if summoning the other party members.
Lyronus poking his head inside and stepping in, looking around at the mess and being like, "Oh, this poor store. Poor people who have been here, and oh, this is bad." And then smiling over at Sally. "Yes, as a matter of fact, we were very successful in our ventures."
Did we come at a bad time? Because we can come back later. If
Wally opens his mouth to respond, clearly angry, and Sally instead responds by laughing and saying, No, I asked you to do this. Besides which, the sooner that... I'm assuming that you came back here successfully, if you are in fact returning, unless you have bad news."
Oh no. In fact, she takes out one of the flowers.
Haelum's gonna follow suit with her flowers.
Mm-hmm. And Lyronus, I think he got one himself?
Koshi says nothing and decides to keep their flower a secret.
Bitch.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so we're producing, I think that was in total... How many was that? Because I know that Ariadne got 2.
I think it was 3 or 4.
I think it was 4.
She has 3 because she gave 1 to Koshi, I believe.
Right.
I
so
thought she had 3 and gave 1 to Koshi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she has 2.
What? Wait, why do I write down 3 then?
Maybe you have 3. And you had got... I think it was maybe that you got 4 and you ended up giving 1 to Koshi. So that's the 4. And then Lyronus was able to get 1, and Haelum was able to get 1.
Yeah, so 5 in total, not counting the one that Koshi decided to keep.
Did you mark down how many each of you got? I apologize that I did not.
I have 1.
I
Okay.
have 1.
I wrote down 3 on the character sheet.
So then that actually means
Yeah.
with Lyronus is 1, there's actually 6 being presented to her at the moment. Or 1, 2, 3...
Well, again,
4.
like Koshi's not letting
Right.
on that they have 1.
1, 2... Okay, so yes, we're presenting with 5 flowers to Sally. Sorry, math is not my strong suit for those of you who are watching. But yes, so she looks at them, and you were able to get 5 whole samples. Lyronus kind of smiled and then even gestures. They are very talented, and then he looks specifically smiling at Ariadne. She in particular was very skilled at being able to extract some clusters without disturbing, or extract some samples without disturbing any of the cluster, in fact.
I
At
got
which-
lucky?
Yeah, at which point Koshi sort of pats Ariadne on the shoulder. Some fun, eh, kid?
I suppose. Thanks. It probably was a fluke. I just anyway. Did more the merrier, right?
Lyronus puts his hand on her shoulder, smiling warmly, and says, "Nonsense. I saw what you were doing. Your hands worked very skillfully, as a matter of fact. You were very good at what you were doing, which I would expect no less from someone who is so attuned with nature."
Aww.
Sally is smiling at all of this. And then, like,
Sorry.
looking... It's okay.
That was actually perfectly in character.
The door.
Like, Ariadne just, like, paralyzes for a second, like, what? And then kind of looking over, how were you able to get so many? You mentioned that it was a skill, and you did not attempt more than 5 times, I'm assuming.
No, just the one each from all of us, right?
Lyronus glances over at Koshi and... Okay.
Koshi gives Lyronus a look of
Yeah.
like...
Go ahead.
Yeah, Koshi basically gives Lyronus a look of, if you want to keep that mouth, you'll keep it shut.
Uh-huh. The thing is that I was even rolling for whether or not he picked up on whether or not to narc on his friend, and he did, so he just kind of, like, he glances at Koshi and then smiles and nods over in Sally's direction. Sally, in turn, laughs again and says, well, I know you didn't disturb the clusters too much, or you wouldn't have made it back so soon. This forest has a guardian, you know, and she doesn't take well to people ruining her land.
Would the guardian be like a giant corpse blossom flower looking? The thing that we find.
Yeah, corpse flower.
I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
I think it was corpse flower.
I will even say in character, Lyronus might even say, like, if she says that in character, Lyronus might say, yes, it was a corpse flower. Also, hello, Zach. Anyway,
Hello.
it was a corpse flower, a young one, and Sally looks astonished at them. You encountered one of those?
Is that not the guardian of which you speak?
No. I do not believe. And I think at this, Lyronus would say, I do not think that a corpse flower would be guarding a forest. And I think at this, Sally kind of says, well, I do remember jotting down that one of the landmarks to follow was a fountain. You may remember that, perhaps?
Koshi nods.
Mm-hmm.
Lyronus nods. Well, let's just say that is a hint as to some of the true nature of the guardians of this forest. And then she smiles at that. After all, my family has had to have learned their secrets from somewhere. So she basically holds out her hands for the various samples. You guys hand them all over?
Yeah, hand mine over.
Cool.
Same.
She takes the 5, and she actually very delicately puts the flowers into a cushioned wooden box, and then sets that beside the counter. Wally pauses in picking up a spilled pot to glare at the box. Sally goes behind the counter and rummages for a moment, before coming back with 3 bottles of 3 different colors. Not only have you done us a great service with all of this, but I did want to thank you, and possibly to arm you against a fight you may be facing sooner or later. I want to give you these. What was it you were going to have Koshi say?
The only thing I was going to do was maybe see if Koshi would be able to identify the bottles being brought out. So would that be a medicine check?
Let me think for a sec. It would probably be... yeah, do a medicine check. Which you currently have an interesting bonus. Jesus Christ!
Well, yeah, the fuck you say?
Okay, so nat 20. So here's the thing. She was going to explain this anyway, but Koshi, you're gonna know everything that she's saying. Like, this is straight out the gate. You will even know the specifics and maybe even be able to explain some of, like, the mechanics on using them. But anyway, she explains. The silvery blue concoction, when poured on any undead creature, will cause them to recoil in agony. And the mechanical purpose for this, and I will even jot these things down and type them up for you for later, there are 5 uses, and it forces disadvantage on undead creatures for 2 rounds. The orangey goop is highly flammable, and once lit will stay lit for hours. Anything that comes into contact with it while it's lit will have to wipe it off, inevitably burning for however long the goop sticks to them. So, functionally, mechanic-wise, it's one vial and will burn for 8 hours on even a small amount. If it's stuck on a target, it will cause +1 fire damage for every round that it's attached and hasn't been cleared. And the green liquid evaporates into a green fog when it comes into contact with the air. It spreads out roughly 20 feet from where it's unleashed. And again, mechanics-wise, 5-foot visibility while in the actual fog cloud itself, disadvantage on attacks, and it lasts for 2 rounds. And again, I'll type these up for you, post-session, so you can...
That is some powerful stuff.
So at this point, as the woman is explaining, Koshi, like, you know that those instances where, like, a little kid is just, like, leaning their chin on a table with their fingers resting as they're kind of looking at something? That's what Koshi's doing.
At the potions?
At the counter, as this woman is explaining. And they're looking on at these bottles with this sort of expression of, like, recognition, as if to say, I remember this. Yes, this is what they do. But then Koshi has this sort of moment of, like, wait a second, why do I remember this? And they sort of look off into space, sort of wondering why they have this information.
So, how do we want to divide these 3 potions? I think Lyronus will be happy to let the other 3 take them, basically.
But there is 5 of them, though, so...
3 potions.
Oh, no, there's 3 potions. Oops.
Yeah,
There's the silvery anti-zombie or zombie weakness potion, the flammable yellow goop, and the fog potion.
Green fog potion.
Oh, green.
And Traveler's
Yeah.
Emporium, drunken recall is not just a trade among humanoids.
Let's see. I guess then if we're splitting them between the party, just pick which potions would, like lend to their strengths, I guess?
I guess.
I think Lyronus kind of, like, pondering over this. Well, given from what I've seen of you all and what you're capable of in combat, or even just practical uses, and I'm even kind of looking over this,
Yeah.
points to gestures to Koshi. Perhaps you would be able to make the most out of the green liquid. You do seem to move very gracefully, if I may say so.
Koshi was, like, at first initially sort of grabby handsing the explodey vial, but then sort of looks up at Lyronus's suggestion.
It's not exactly an explodey vial. It's a material that can be lit on fire, and it basically has enough fuel to burn for a long period of time. It does not explode, it just stays on fire.
Oh yeah, that's fair. And again, like, Koshi initially has that sort of, like, almost like a moth to a flame sort of reaction to that vial, but then sort of looking up and hearing Lyronus' suggestion, they sort of take a moment, then sort of change the aim of their hand, I suppose, and sort of reach over for the green vial.
Sally hands them the green vial.
All right.
Lyronus.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I was just gonna ask, like, to put in my inventory, what would that be called?
Green liquid in vial.
All right.
You may make whatever note you need to about the fog spreads. Like I said, I'll jot down the actual specific mechanics for you guys.
Yeah.
Thinking on the other options.
Yeah, the 2 that are left, I'm sorry, what did I do again? I know one responds to fire, and once it's on, it kind of stays lit for like 8 hours.
Yep. In fact, I was even going to have Lyronus suggest that that Ariadne perhaps take the orangey goop, because it's got more utility than just combat, and it's, for example, perhaps something to take the place of candles when trying to write by moonlight. And also, if you need to do some extra damage to anyone who's attacking you, I have no doubt you would put it to great use.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Let's do that. I'm gonna type that down. 1 bottle of
Orange goop.
Orange goo.
orange goop. And
So
I assume that would be like a pound. No, that would be like half a pound, right?
Usually they're negligible as potions.
Yeah.
Oh, negligible. All
Don't
right.
worry about the weight on it.
Okay.
And as Lyronus says, I suppose that leaves the silvery blue one for you. I think, especially given how handy you are in combat, it would work very well, especially if we do find ourselves facing any more of these undead creatures.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Besides
But
which,
a silvery blue potion.
I think it's the shiniest. Which, well, outside of myself, I think that you would definitely be the shiniest of us.
Well, you're not wrong.
She
And
flipped her hair.
he kind of chuckles, and Sally also hands over the silvery blue concoction
Okay.
to Haelum. She also goes back behind the counter, at which Wally is objecting again, but of course it's just grumbling at his wife.
Oop.
And she comes back and hands each of you, and that does include Lyronus, 2 sugar cookies. A treat for the soul.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna put that down in the inventory.
Sugar and I think it would be cinnamon?
Okay. 2
Sugar with
cookies.
cinnamon flavoring.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if y'all are catching the reference.
That's cinnamon cookies. That would also be negligible. Let's see. Codfish.
But y'all got some cookies now. I will say they don't have any immediate kind of effect, but they're just little treats to have in your inventory. But question, do you guys know what I'm referencing with the herbalist handing you cookies?
I hate you
Uh,
for it.
I was thinking of Granny Rita, but I didn't want to say it out loud.
God damn it.
I was
So-
gonna not accept those cookies actually, just out of principle.
Oh, you don't have to. She's offering, but you don't have to accept the cookies.
No, Haelum will. I won't.
Oh, that is fair. For those of you who are not part of our campaign that Gab actually runs, there was an herb shop in town for our characters who was run by that was run by a hag, an Annis hag, who sold and basically just gave away cookies to anyone who came by the shop. And the cookies were basically something that sapped your willpower and made you susceptible to suggestion from her in particular. And allowed her to control you if you ate too many of them, which our characters discovered in a really horrible way.
Yeah.
Although not as bad as it possibly could have been. So anyway, they were able to get ahead of it before it caused serious damage, but even still. I was just deciding to make a reference, a nice little in-joke that I don't necessarily mind explaining, obviously.
Yeah.
But let's see. So I think she's gonna think, actually, given that y'all went above and beyond, as a matter of fact. Let me think for a second here. Let me do a quick thing. I'm going to do... What is it? Let's see. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. At that, so Sally, again, while still behind the counter, ponders for a moment and then digs again around the counter, this time around the cash box. And this is the point where Wally actually starts objecting, vocally pointing out, like, what are you doing? You've already given them so much free merchandise. What else do you think you're giving them? And I guess that did show up on the on the stream. Oh well, you guys know what I was doing.
Oh, yes.
But so she ends up opening the box, and she pulls out a. Basically, it's like there are several different like little packs in there. She ends up pulling out one of the packs that are in there, opening it up and counting out various gold pieces. And after a moment, like, Wally watching this, already annoyed at his wife for even thinking of giving any kind of cash cash reward to these people, gets increasingly annoyed with every single coin that she sets out on the counter.
Koshi has their eyes glued to this woman's hands.
Until she finally finishes counting, and in total there is about 50 gold pieces on the table. And she ends up actually splitting it as evenly as she can between the four of you, basically. That would be, 12 apiece?
12.5, so there'd be 2 stacks of 12, 2 of 13.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can math.
Thank you.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
Welcome.
Lyronus is fine taking one of the 12. Especially because he doesn't have any gold. I think he'd be happy. He's fine having some. So you have 12, 13, 13.
I'll have Ariadne take the other 12.
Yeah, Koshi will take one of the 13s.
I'll take the other 13 then.
Yeah.
Sally
So,
says... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, to which Koshi replies, "Thank you. Is that all, stranger?"
Penny pinching piece of peckerwood his is. You're not even wrong. Wally is a businessman. His wife is the one who does, like, the,
Charity.
charity. Yes, literally. Although, to be fair, like, she's literally doing something. They put their lives... I think, actually, this is what she's going to even say. Wally starts to object again, and Sally glares at him and says, "These heroes put their lives on the line in order to try and make sure that whatever else happens, we'll be able to stop more people from falling victim to this curse. I think it is in our best interest to encourage heroism, don't you? I am able to complete my concoction now. As a result, my medicine is able to be completed as a result of their bravery. Do you truly have a complaint about rewarding them for that?" Wally stammers and says something to the effect of, "Well, but that's... we don't have a lot of money coming into the store." And Sally says, "We'll have even less if everyone keeps dying." Wally shuts up.
There's some sound logic there.
Would it help if we bought some things from the store before we left?
Wally perks up and says, "Yes, we've got several things." And Sally says, "You're not obligated to. If you want to, however, please feel free."
At which point, Koshi sort of, like, taps their beak with her claws before going, "What are you selling?"
Let me go to way back when I first ever ended up actually setting up the stores in this town. This was way back. There we go.
Because the alternative was, I can give some of the money back, it's fine.
Oh my god, no.
would you like the 12 back?
She would.
Traveler's Emporium saying, "I suspect her patron is a logician."
I see you.
So, Wally, basically, here's the description. Like, Wally will kind of explain some of the things that they currently have for sale. It's not a lot, and which he will admit, because, they don't usually have a lot of outsiders coming to town. But there are your general goods, things like some food rations, things that are, like, not necessarily rations to take on the road, but things that you could eat same day kind of thing. Things like some cheeses, some fresh breads, some different types of candies, interestingly enough. Very simple sort of stuff, nothing very elaborate. And let's see, probably a couple of some bagged teas of some kind. Like a handful of them. You would still have to add water yourself, he might even point out. But the basic concoction of these teas should be pretty tasty once you actually get them made. And then the other things he will point out in terms of the general goods are wooden souvenirs / figures, so small little carved things that were clearly made by hand very meticulously.
Ooh.
Things of like a horse or of like, a chicken or a dragon or a unicorn or things along those, like little almost kind of playthings for children, except that they could also be
unicorn.
they could also be a collectible. There are actually a couple of small mirrors. There is, interestingly enough, he very happily points out a hammer, and he points out the engraving of Lyra on the hammer, insisting that it will make sure that whatever you make using this hammer will clearly carry the joy of Lyra. Feel free to roll insight on his remark about being able to hammer the joy of Lyra into anything you craft.
Where is
rolled
my
it.
Insight.
Let's see, Lyronus, are you still in oblivious? You are an oblivious boy. Okay.
Aw.
He's still so oblivious. Okay. Let's see. Haelum, you're able to pick up on. You're not sure if he actually believes whether or not the hammer will instill the joy of Lyra into anything you craft with it. Koshi and Ariadne, you pick up that he's not sure, but he's gonna say it because that's how you sell stuff to people. You tell people that it's, you tell people that it's more than what you think it is.
Yeah, Koshi recognizes a con artist when they see one.
Game recognized game.
Yeah, I mean, they have to respect the hustle.
And then he actually points out a couple of different dolls that were basically hand knit, and he'll even say, my wife is actually also pretty handy, and she made these. And there's a small pink bunny doll and a small blue cat doll.
Cute.
And Sally will make mention of what things that she actually sells outside of a handful of potions, which she mostly gave what she had prepared away right now. Outside of a couple of healing potions, she also has some clippers with it's basically a clippers and 3 vials set, so it's basically like a sort of like a med kit or not a med kit, like I guess an herbalist kit in some ways, but it's a very simplified version of it. You have a mortar and pestle, which is specifically only for the grinding of these things, and also a straight up herbalism kit.
Are the mortar and pestle included in the herbalism kit, or are those sold separately?
Those are actually sold separately.
Let's see. I got. How much for the herbalism kit?
That would be 4 gold pieces.
And for the mortar and pestle?
That's 2 gold pieces.
I think Koshi is willing to part with 6 gold to get their hands on those, because I believe. Yeah, because I have thieves tools in the disguise kit, but I don't have an herbalism kit, and I think
It is useful.
Yes.
yeah.
Tony, because I don't think you even started off with an herbalism kit. Do you have one currently on you, or did you just gain the proficiency with it?
I had the proficiency with it, but not the actual herbalism kit.
Well, now there you go.
Yeah.
Tony, hello, my
Hi,
wife.
Tony. My brother.
My wife.
I will say this is one of your standard joking, old married couple arrangements. Like, they clearly have no problem being like, oh, you old walnut, etc. But
They're in love, but they will in fact bicker in public.
Oh, absolutely.
The roasting.
I want that unicorn. How much is it?
The unicorn figures you actually can get 2 for 1 silver.
She's gonna get 2.
2 unicorns?
She actually is gonna hand over a gold because she doesn't really understand at first.
Wally starts to put the gold back in the drawer. Sally smiles, takes the gold, and actually returns what would be the, how much is the conversion? Is it 10
It's
silver
like 10
for
to 1, yeah.
Yeah, 10 to 1. Okay, and actually hands her back 9 silver in response
Oh, okay,
to that.
so I'll do that. So I'll take away 1 gold and put in 9 silver.
Yeah.
So
And don't forget to deduct the 6 gold for the herbalist kit and mortar and pestle. Basically, you got, like, they don't have a lot of these. It's not like, you know, you go into a general store today versus back in the day. It's not like you go into, like, a Walmart and you have, like, a whole rack of them. There were probably maybe only 2 or 3 sets of any of these things, and you got one of the last few that are currently there.
Nice.
So,
also, additional question. You mentioned they were selling some teas, right?
mm-hmm.
Are any of them medicinal?
Let me think. All right. Interesting. Okay. So one of them is just a straight up sweetened kind of tea. One of which is a much more bitter, but like with the, and I think like even Sally will even explain that this particular tea it tastes a little bit on the bitter side, but it will definitely, you know, keep you awake if you find yourself drowsing in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day for that matter. But there are actually a couple of them that are somewhat medicinal, and on consumption they would do, technically it would be a 1d2. Obviously there's not like a standard die for that, obviously it's like, you know, fucking coin flip, but a 1d2 recovery of HP on consumption. She will say proudly, she blended them herself using some of the local flora and some of the techniques that she learned from the Guardian of the Forest, or at least what her family learned from the Guardian of the Forest.
How much for the medicinal HPT?
HPT.
HPT. They're going to be 2 silver apiece.
All right, so we'll go over 2 silver, you said?
2 silver apiece.
Okay. So I guess is it sold in bags where it's like 1 unit would be like 1 serving?
Yeah, one unit would be 1 serving, because these are I will even say that these are technically in some ways reusable tea bags. Like,
okay,
they're made of different kind of like leaves and concoctions, but you can use them. I think she'll even point out you can use the tea bags up to 3 times before any use of it will be completely expended.
Okay, in that case, Koshi is going to purchase 4. So I think that's going to be 8 silver.
Yes, that should be 8 silver.
That is how math works.
All right, so 4 medicinal tea.
Weed.
And that recovers 2 HP.
1d2. So you have to roll the 1d2 on consumption. But it also soothes the soul. And Wally rolls his eyes.
Yes.
Oh, so he'll try to sell something that can hammer the essence of Lyra into something, but he won't believe in soothing tea. I see. I get it. That's fine.
I mean,
Standard be like.
I will say you guys just made Wally's day, because he was very frustrated with his wife just giving away money, but at least some of it's coming back now.
I'm glad we could help with their marital issues.
oh yeah.
You said there were other teas though, right? Or is it just the HP tea?
There's like a bitter one that keeps you awake and a sweet one that just tastes good, I think.
Yeah.
Can Ariadne buy one of the sweet ones?
Sure. That one would actually be 1 silver.
Okay. Alright, I will write down. Okay. So 1 sweet tea, and I'll get rid of the silver.
Cool.
Additionally, you mentioned like carved car figurines.
Mhm.
Is there any that are like in the shape of like a bird?
Of a bird.
Yeah.
Bird.
Yeah. Okay. So there are actually 3 various wooden figurines that are actually shaped like a bird, one of which is an owl, one of which is like your what would be like a crow, and one of which is a nice little sparrow creature. I don't know why I didn't just say sparrow. It's a sparrow creature, which is just a sparrow.
A sparrow. It's not called a sparrow in D&D. It's something else now.
It's called a Pidgeotto. Okay.
Excuse you mean Spiro.
Hey, Laval. Can Ariadne go for the crow?
Sure. Did you want 2 crows or?
Oh, just the one.
Crow.
Well, they're 2 for a silver.
Oh. How do I split a silver?
I think the idea is that they want to give away 2 at a time. But I mean,
a Haelum voice. You can't keep them apart. They come in a set. She's holding a unicorn. We're all by these things.
I will even say.
They belong together.
In that case, consider her persuaded. She'll get a.
To roll.
Birds, two crow figurines.
This is cute as shit.
I think Lyronus on looking over would be like, "Oh wait, so are you actually pairing them up? Like?" And he thinks, like as if they were romantically involved. And he's like actually kind of confused by that for a moment.
Is he asking Haelum that?
He's asking both of them, actually.
I was gonna say, are you asking Chiharu that?
Listen! Chiharu from like the ether. I'm behaving today!
For context for the chat.
No context.
It depends on how comfortable you are explaining. I will say that it is related to where my DM Sona, Leyus, came from. But
Yeah.
various DM Sonas out there in the ether. But yeah, so the question was posed as basically, are you actually pairing them, like, romantically?
Haelum would give him a look kind of like, are you seriously asking me that? Do you need to ask?
And let's see, is he going to pick up on that? Hey, he did, for once.
She just gives him a look, and he's like, ah, okay.
Yeah, he goes, ah. Well, are you at least going to name them?
I'm thinking about it.
I mean, I know a lot of different names if you ever want some inspiration.
She, like, eyes him for a second, looks back at them. She doesn't say anything, but she's like, maybe.
But does Ariadne ship her birds?
Oh, it would depend, because it was meant to be a kind of meta. Meta, she is secretly trying to get gifts for the party and trying to be very subtle about it.
You're very unsubtle about it.
She was thinking, like, she got the tea thinking of Haelum. She was looking at the crows thinking of Koshi.
Yeah.
And she was gonna aim for the cat for Lyronus next.
Lyronus, turn around for a second.
So she's like, shit, fudge, because she's like, if it were up to her, like, yeah, like she would totally like let the crows like, you know, chill and like be cute together and like all dokie dokie. But like, would Koshi do that? She's not sure. She doesn't want to like give it to Koshi and give it to Koshi and be like, Koshi, they're married, and if you so much as split them apart, you will die.
I love the idea. I love the fact that you went, shit, fudge. Like, there was one swear word and then one alternative. And I was just like,
Look, she's mixing and matching. She is being creative.
Oh, absolutely. And I reward that.
Yes.
Uh-oh, this ought to be good.
So it's one of those. Yeah, I guess she'll like attempts to be subtle is not subtle at all.
Well,
If it makes you feel any better, Koshi isn't paying attention to that. They're mainly focusing on the herbalism kit they just got.
nice.
I
I'm just
think
picturing
after
them
a
like
moment-
squatting immediately on the floor, opening it, and kind of going over the parts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sally kind of like smiling at the exchange, and then actually remarking as, "You all seem very close with one another. Have you known each other long?"
Oh, not at all.
"About 1 day, actually."
It depends on what you mean by how long have we known each other. Because there's we've known each other, and then there's we have known of each other, which it situation to situation.
Sally is a little bit surprised at realizing that it's only been apparently 1 day since you guys have met. And then, "Oh, I had assumed that perhaps you were older friends of his," gesturing over to Lyronus. "Perhaps you had come later, but you only just met yesterday?"
Well, we were looking for him.
Hold on, I'm rolling for myself.
Okay.
Oh fuck, she's sharing it.
Let's tell Lyronus the story again. Let's go.
It's not an entire, but it's just gonna be like I mean, technically, I'm Lyronus and I, you know when you see each other, but then you don't see each other, but then you do.
Ariadne, I love you.
She's trying to like bring up the vision thing because technically they met in the vision, right? Like he turned around and they like actually saw each other, and then they were about to say something, but then like whoosh, the light. So it's like her like trying to explain. Like technically we met each other in a dream, and like we were supposed to like it wasn't extended conversation, I think, because like, we were supposed to talk, but then
Lyronus.
suddenly the light turns, and then
Lyronus puts his
I mean,
hand.
it's not that we haven't had
Jane.
Jane, come back. Jane, come back. Jane, come back.
Jane.
Jane, come back.
Lyronus puts his hand on Ariadne's shoulder very reassuringly and says, I mean, it's more complicated than I suppose simply having only met yesterday, but we do have a connection with each other that goes back quite a while. And yes, it is true that Ariadne and I did meet once upon a dream. And he kind of chuckles to himself.
Winning, yes. That's
I think one of my new favorite things in the world is Ariadne blue screening.
she's so bad. Like seeing Haelum like handling situations, being all diplomatic, being really good with her words, seeing Lyronus like also like, you know, bringing together a crowd and all that, and then also seeing like Koshi being a master salesman with also knowing how to do a pitch, and it's just like, wow, everyone in their words, cool, nice.
You're one to talk. You sounded like a cattle auctioneer a second ago.
Oh yeah, it was like you gave the
I love
fucking
it.
Micro Machines guy a fucking run for his money.
I'll say.
The old birds and the bees nonsense. That would do it, right, tomato
Damn,
face?
girl, what that mouth do?
Well. Dang, baby, I just smell your feet from over there. Okay.
runs and runs and runs, and it's just like
Anyway,
either she is 2 words or 50 billion words. Good luck.
Oh, yeah.
that's also fair. I will say, in the interest of potentially nudging
Yeah.
things to
Yeah.
wrapping things up, because it's gotten to that point in terms
Yeah.
of time.
Oh.
Yes?
Really quickly, could you quickly buy the cat while Lyronus isn't looking?
Lyronus is like currently
I'll
has.
distract him.
Yeah, go and distract him. In fact, actually, if you're going to do that, Haelum, roll insight on Ariadne.
I'm gonna see if I can help you real quick.
Okay, yeah, you figure out
Oh,
what
Haelum looks
Ariadne
over-
is trying to do. So,
Goes over to Lyronus.
Lyronus, I've decided I do need your help naming these. Please help me.
oh,
Smooth.
Ariadne quietly mouths a thank you.
Oh.
And quickly runs over to Sally and slams a silver piece.
slams into Sally. they're actually 5 silver apiece. But like, so Lyronus' response to Haelum is basically, "Oh, well, yes, of course," and turns to go and help her. 5 silver for the blue cat, and technically you would be buying it from Wally, which I think if she does go to Sally for it, Sally would gesture to Wally at the counter.
Oh, okay. In that case, she slowly slides her silver piece back down and says, "Thank you," and then goes over to Wally, and then when he tells her it's 5 pieces, she slams down another 5. I mean, another... He has 6 pieces now. She misunderstood that as, "Oh, I need 5 more pieces, okay."
Wally accepts them. Before Sally can notice that he accepts all 6.
Jesus.
So.
Oh wait, no, I can't do that. I had 4 pieces left. Frick! I take that back. She just hands him a gold.
Hands him a gold, gets some change. Okay. So you get 4 silver back then? No, wait, no, it's 5, so 5.
Well, because you get... So, yeah, hands him a gold, and he kind of looks at it, and he does actually give you 5 silver back.
Okay.
If you'd given him 6 silver, he would have just been like, okay. But nah, he's gonna be honest with the direct exchange, so he's gonna give you the 5 silver back. So
Thank
minus
you.
1
Running a
gold.
legitimate business.
He does run a legitimate, besides which it wouldn't exactly be a good look in a small town if he ended up actually
Exactly.
shafting some of the few outsiders that came in.
Yeah.
Then Koshi would come for his ankles.
Oh my god.
I mean, understandably, thank you and have a good day. So, after a little bit of the conducting of business, let me just check over my notes for...
I didn't realize he was a furry.
Alright,
Oh.
so... Question!
Conducting his nyas.
Business. Okay, so, question. Do you exit the herb shop at that point? Or the herbalist, the ancient stream?
Oh yeah, if we're
Koshi
all done
does.
shopping, I think we're done. I would probably Haelum would be talking to Lyronus as they're walking out the door, so he has less chance of seeing Ariadne buy things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
Yeah, everyone's leaving. Let's go.
you exit back out into the market square proper of Vermouth. That was the name of the fucking village.
Oh, that's where we are.
Yeah, Vermouth. And just as you do, you hear the thudding of thick, metal-toed boots crossing the bridge. There, making her way in your direction, is a tall blonde woman, casually dressed in plated armor, or at least pieces of it. This woman could probably wrestle a bear, and you might have to wonder who might win. And this is where I get to drop a thing. Let me just... Jesus Christ, me, come on. Alright, you. Go here. There we are.
God, that's a mood and a half. Jesus Christ, me, come on.
Yeah, but I will say, for you in the audience, and I've shown you guys this picture before, too. But you see
Yeah.
this woman appearing, crossing the bridge and heading in your direction. And she calls out to you, "You there!" And that's going to be session for today.
Uh-oh, we in trouble.
The
Oh.
absolute unit.
Oh, I can't wait. I love her.
We're gonna get so busted.
This
I
is
mean-
a player voice, bro. I want her to step on me.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, we're going to get so busted. Only if you ask nicely.
Step.
Please,
Casual.
mommy.
Casual plate armor for the everyday murder hobo, now unisex made. I mean,
Hell yeah.
she's not exactly what you would consider to be a murder hobo. In fact, she's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
You
She
guys...
takes it from the murder hobos.
Yeah, exactly. I will say you guys did actually see her briefly before, and this was during the assembling, like the first day that you guys were here. I don't think... Lyronus probably would have encountered her around town when he got arrived. When he got arrived.
When he got arrived.
But as things were like closing up because of the presumed nightly curse returning, you would have seen her basically mustering several of the other guards.
Yeah, okay.
So this was the woman that you saw doing exactly that. So that'll be it for the session, and that's actually kind of a really cool place to kick us off next time.
Hell yeah.
So, Y'all had some interesting conversations with some people. You found out that Danforth is indeed behind the events that unfolded. However, Davies appears to have been potentially behind the issue with the statue.
And Koshi was able to extort him at least a little bit.
I got mad.
You got him extorted, you got him mad, you also got Sovalis to fucking stand up to him, so good job on you guys there.
Oh, I didn't get to talk to Sovalis. Dang it. I'll do that next time.
Well, I mean, you'll have time for it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I remember that.
Yeah. You can jot that down for yourself just as a note.
Even if it's like a small thing, it doesn't have to be like a whole thing, but I want to make sure that Haelum actually does follow up on that. We don't just not do that.
Yeah, that would be really good.
So, so, that was pretty cool. Oh, and you also obviously finished the quest with Sally, returning the flowers, and that'll probably pay off really nicely. I think that might help you in potentially something that may be coming up at some point. Maybe. I don't know. But it's good to complete.
Hopefully you would know.
Hopefully I would know, you'd think. There's some interesting stuff in store for you, stuff that now I actually don't even have to worry about for this next session, so I've got 2 weeks off. Anyway.
Nice!
How do you spell Farewell?
It must be nice, it must be nice to have Dungeon Master's notes all done. Sorry?
Sorry, just really quick. Spelling of Farewell, the next city that Koshi came from? The one that...
Fironwall. Firon Wall. W-A-L-L.
Okay. Cool, thank you. So I did make a note of that being a place of interest for them to visit next.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. But it had some nice, you got to know the people in the ancient stream, and you picked up some cute little wooden figurines. I'm going to have Lyronus suggest you some names, like, off screen, if you want to actually ascribe names to these unicorns.
Please.
Hell yeah.
Like, I can see him picturing, like, from legend, here are the names of some of the unicorns of past, kind of thing. Like, he will be happy to tell you guys. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
This has been fun. Sorry if I've seemed a little bit more scattered today. It's been, unfortunately, a bit of a rattling day for more than one reason. I may as well even fucking say this. So, here's a nice little anecdote for all of you people out there in YouTube land. So decided today that I was going to order myself some pizza, just to have, not have to worry about making food before session today. When I was using the site, it glitched out in the middle of my actually making my order, and it said, sorry, there has been an error processing your order. And I was like, that's weird. So I refreshed the page. And I made a mistake by not double checking everything as it was inputted. I went straight back to my cart to try and checking out again, and it made a note of the items in your purchase have been updated to new price. And I was like, what? What would change the price? Now, I was distracted because I was trying to focus on getting stuff ready for session tonight, so my brain was not in a space to double check this because it's never been an issue before. But when I saw, I figured this out later. I placed my order, and then I get a text message from the driver saying, I'm at your door. I go and check, and there's no one out there, and I said, perhaps you have the wrong address? And the driver responded with my old address in another state. The website had glitched out and sent the order to a Pizza Hut in another state. And I had to explain that, and I apologized, and the driver's like, yeah, no problem, I'll cancel it on my end. So that was fun. That didn't help things. So that was part of how my day was not going so good, on top of not just feeling so awesome on the physical count. So personal information and all of that, that's what you came here for, right?
Yeah.
But that was part of what lent into my, okay, get my head together stuff. Yeah, it sucks. I was able to order a pizza, and I should be able to get a refund on the one that went to Arizona. It's like, that's really not going to go to the right place.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Be
going
hard
to
to
pay.
beat that.
I'm not going to pay a driver to drive that far for one delivery. Anyway, but I am glad that we got plenty of stuff done today, and I hope you guys watching got to have a bit of fun. Once again, as a general reminder, there are votes over on Patreon between each session. You actually will get to decide on things involving the fate or just overall business of the characters in this campaign. This last one was a vote for information that may or may not lead into something of a side quest for the characters that completed right before today's session. And there's going to be another one upcoming in a couple of days. You can join the Patreon for even just $1 a month and still be able to vote on any of these things, whether you help them or you hurt them, etc. And you also get like things like, you know, preview art, things along those lines. That's all the general plug for that. But that all aside, if you like the video, you know, the standard speech that you hear every YouTuber give, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all of those little engagement dealies that YouTube likes us to actually push. It does help the channel, but I'm not going to be like, how dare you not like my videos and subscribe and comment on them? Because I like hearing from you guys, but like, I also know how obnoxious it is to have every person on YouTube telling you, instructing you to do something. Especially because some of them do it in the most obnoxious way. It's like, if you like this video, then why not like, comment, and subscribe?
Smash the like button.
Smash that like button and ring that bell.
I still think my favorite iteration was Dan was like, comment and survive.
See, I'm just thinking about the one skit where it was just from someone where it was just like, don't like, don't comment, in fact, get out of the video.
Don't watch this video. Don't like. Don't even touch that like
The
button.
anti-YouTuber.
Yeah.
But all of
like,
those,
comment, subscribe, tickle my fucking balls.
all of those little calls to action aside, and all of that, I appreciate you guys being here. I hope to see you 2 weeks from today, assuming that all goes according to plan and assuming that nothing actually happens. So the 2nd of May, because I can keep track of calendars, should be the next session, and it will be starting at 4:30 p.m. Central, so 2:30, for example, on, Pacific time zone. And it's every other Sunday, not every Sunday. The VOD for this stream should be up on the channel sometime this week. Feel free to rewatch it, or if you weren't able to see the beginning of today's stream, then you'll be able to catch up on that. And again, if you want to vote on things that come up, if you want to be a patron, it's a good idea to review stuff that's actually happened.
Become a patron specifically so you guys can choose the obstacle option for us. Nobody chose it last time.
Nobody voted for it. People wanted to help these characters so much, and I was
Stop
just like,
helping us.
It's
Yeah,
okay to meme on us. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'll
that
take
this
it
is-
or die
this-
trying.
This is what you get for fostering a pure and wholesome fandom, Lore. How fucking dare you?
I don't
Yeah.
even know, but I will say at some point, if no one ever ends up actually picking an obstacle for you guys, I'm going to have them choose between 3 different obstacles.
Hell yeah.
So you guys have your choice now. You guys can pick an obstacle sooner, or be forced to pick an even worse one later. Okay. I tease, but thank you guys for coming by to watch today. Thank you guys in stream in call with me for joining for playing today.
Hell yeah.
And I hope to see you guys next time. I hope to
Take
see you
care,
guys,
everyone.
especially who is with me playing. I hope I see you in the next session.
I mean, I hope I survive 2 weeks.
Oh, come on. Anyway, I will see
Bye-bye.
you guys. See you guys next time.